All right. Well, we're live.
Sweet.
Luke, we're live. You're not on camera yet, but it's good to have you here in the video lab. And we're talking with Luke Lynass today, and we're going to talk about internal video and kind of the, how to strengthen your business with internal video, which I think is going to be a great conversation. And we're also, Luke, I'm going to pop you in here. There you go. There's Luke. But we're also drinking the Breaks coffee this morning.
Absolutely.
And it is so good. And here, let me bring this up. I don't know if you could tell, but it was the Absolute Blend is what we're drinking this morning. So, I mean, it makes for a good show.
Yes.
And thank you, Breaks, for providing the coffee for us. And make sure you check them out. They're down by the downtown
Post office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, downtown post office. And as we get into these shows, we'll have a lot more information about the breaks and everything. Now, let me say this, if you are having any trouble with the audio, if Luke's not coming through, if I'm not coming through, please let me know in the chat, either on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube is where we're streaming this live show right now. So please let me know if you are not getting Luke. Do you want to just do a little mic test?
Hello, check mic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. If you did not hear that, please let me know so that we can get that going and figure out some of that troubleshooting as we roll. So this is an interactive show, Luke. So I want to encourage everybody to jump in the comments, jump in the chat, and ask any questions that you may have about specifically internal video. And we're going to kind of define what that might look like, what that is as we get going here. But if you have questions about what that might look like, jump in the chat, jump in the comments, and leave your question, because we want some interaction.
Yeah, no, we do.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to double check, make sure everything's still rolling on my platforms here. And it looks like it is. So, Luke, can you just give a little introduction?
Yeah. So we're here to talk about internal video. My name is Luke Lynass. I'm a full-time videographer. I work for a company called gpac, lower G, PAC. They are a recruiting firm nationwide, and place professionals in every industry. And so I was hired on as kind of their main creative lead, video guy. And I handle everything audio, video production for internal training, for external marketing, for course development, and kind of a little bit of everything.
Excellent.
And so, yeah, I full-time video.
So you get to play with cameras as well. Huh?
I do get to play with cameras. Yes. Yep. Excellent.
Now, as we, kind of get rolling with this is kind of, I don't know, this topic excites me because I feel like this is kind of an underrated topic in video production, in video marketing.
Sure.
Even like the process of having internal video. Can you kind of define maybe what that looks like?
Well, yeah, I think as we were talking even before the show, I think when people think video in the current moment, I realize there's this whole like push with AI and the changes that are coming, but
that's true.
But I think most companies think about video and they think about either social media or they think about video marketing and ads, right? But I think the reality of video is that there's so much greater depth and possibility with what video can provide for your company. And I think my company was in a unique position in the sense that in 2020, we went fully digital. We went fully remote. Okay. I mean, that's like 700 to 800 recruiters nationwide. So that means all of your systems need to be rethought. And so what I've learned through my time in my company is that video can be used for far more than you think possible. Video can be used for external marketing, but can also be used for internal marketing, like messaging, important, updates or events, live shows. Like you can do a lot of things with video internally to improve your culture. You can do, my emphasis in my company would probably be with training.
Okay.
So you can use video for training, and that's not a new concept, right? But using, I would say, maybe more professional video for training is a huge asset for your company.
Because I remember starting new jobs and everything, and we did like video training and stuff,
Yeah, right.
So like, how is this a little bit Is this
I
different?
think it's making it a bit more personalized.
Okay.
And you have a lot of production decisions, right?
Yeah.
You can do something on an iPhone all the way up to a full camera
Yeah.
system. But I think being more strategic with making video that's enjoyable to listen to, that's enjoyable to watch, that is concise and to the point, not this like stuffy background
Yeah.
video, which
Yeah.
is what we typically think of with like training videos.
Right.
You and I were talking a little bit about a unique thing that we do in our company is I create almost live scenario role
Yeah.
plays.
Yeah.
And something like that where you're not just using like a recorded phone call, you're actually recreating a live person almost acting but kind of having a live call in
Yeah.
a role play scenario.
So it's
And
like this is what you might experience.
yeah, it's a
while
very
you're actually on
real
call.
it's
Yeah.
a very real experience
Yeah.
of but you get to see it. And I
Yeah.
think that's the difference. It's not just an audio recording. It's
Right.
something you get to see. You get to watch how that person is interacting with someone else.
Yep.
That I think just makes that whole training environment a totally different environment.
Yeah. So you can make courses for your people within your organization
Mhm.
to do the training. Now that's like not just new hires though. That's like kind of ongoing training as they
Yeah.
progress through their job.
Yeah,
right?
I'm pretty like you can just create videos that you drop in a database or
Yeah.
something for your employees to watch. But I
Right.
think there's this leveraging what's been used in education
Mm.
and in online education with what's called an LMS or a learning management system
Yep.
is you can create a better user experience for employees or external clients to go through a course and experience your video content, but then also experience things like, having downloadables or infographics or pictures. And then even especially internally using things like knowledge checks or quizzes
Yeah.
help move. Yeah. Instead of that back room,
Right.
like stuffy video that you watch
Yep.
and forget.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, well, now I answer some questions about it,
Yeah.
or I show my comprehension of it. And now you're actually learning.
Right.
And you're learning the way that like psychology teaches you should learn, right? Or
Yep.
or can learn.
You see it, you hear it.
Yep. All the forms.
Yep.
And so I think that's the strength of using course specific content in
Yeah.
your company to either train your internal people, or you could flip that and you could use course content to either generate leads external to the company. You could, if you're a small business owner, for example, you could create some of your content for free.
Right.
Or to make it for free and use it as lead generation.
Yeah.
To say, hey, here's a little bit of what I do, or here's a little bit of what I provide.
Right.
Here's this free course. Let that be something that helps drive lead generation to your actual core product.
So it's not like you can take that beyond the walls of your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Not without cost and time,
right.
but
Yep.
leveraging the possibility of video specific course content could be both an internal use product, but it could also become either something you actually sell.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
Caleb Hoover sells a course on video
Right.
production, right?
Right.
Or fitness, like a gym
Yeah.
could sell a course on, increasing your mobility.
Yeah.
You could sell that product, but you could also just use it as something that kind of like a podcast, something that generates conversation online and draws people to your company.
Let's talk about that podcast idea just a little bit.
Yeah, we started a podcast that's kind of sometimes been external, sometimes internal.
Okay.
Right now, it's specifically an internal product.
Yeah.
But I think that is something that is at companies' disposal. I think
Right.
we're a little bit past the curve of like everybody and their dog was doing a podcast.
Yeah.
I think everyone and their dog is still doing a podcast, but I think
That's true.
the change is that you can leverage that podcast environment to just create something internal, something every week that people listen to that reinforces maybe company values.
Yeah.
Gives them more insight into the people
Right.
that make, like if you're a large company, imagine hearing from different staff members.
Yeah. I mean, you get to know them that way.
Yep. And that's not a huge venture,
Right.
but putting it on video, I think makes it that much more personal and engaging for an online audience. And then I think you could also use podcasting. I know you're going to maybe do a podcasting episode later in the season, but podcasting externally can really be something that positions you as a brand leader or a thought leader in your space.
Okay.
And so video podcasting, I mean, you can do both, but video podcasting really, what I love about it is that it can position you well
Yep.
in your space.
Makes
It
sense.
can provide value
Yep.
to people, but it can also just serve as a great database for you of like little clips you can share on social media.
Right.
Like it's like the best, most authentic content you could create, and you could chop it all up and create like a total, like a marketing campaign with
Right.
it. And I
Yeah.
think that's what's so powerful about that.
And I think that's why, like in my mind, like that's why I kind of think that this type of video marketing, this internal concept of video marketing, or even in your case, you have a production studio
Yeah.
within your company,
Yep.
but there's so many benefits to it, which honestly just blows my mind. Everything from building the company culture, getting to know people, then to selling courses. Now, is there like, do you run into anything as you create these trainings and things like that? Is there anything that you run into as far as like your training material that you actually encounter? Like, how do you kind of shape your training material and put it into a video form rather than having like a big class, of trainees?
Yep.
Like how does all of that work together?
Well, what I will say is that when you make a move, so regardless of what company you're in, you may have a very robust training environment already built out.
Mm-hmm.
You may have nothing written down. Regardless of those two scenarios, when you make a move to actually put things down in video, I think most people realize really quickly that the things that are on document form or in thought form don't translate the same when they're on video, because things need to be on video. Things still need to be engaging.
Right.
They need to be thoughtful. They need to not just, they need to be not boring.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They need to be something that
true.
engages people.
Yep.
And in order to get your content from here, document form, to there, I think the kind of the process is a really beautiful process for a company, because it forces your cloud of things you think
Yeah.
you have to boil them all down to very deliverable end products.
Right.
And I think it just builds out a better, robust training environment.
Yeah. Interesting.
When you actually take the time to distill it down to video form.
Yeah.
And it kind of cuts out all the like fluff.
The fluff. Yeah.
And
it's the word I was going to use.
Yeah. And really, really communicates. Now, what I would say though is, in my experience, I work a lot with our training team. There are just some things that will not be replaced by human interaction.
Yeah, right.
So
which is huge. I mean,
huge.
you have to have the
important.
human interaction.
You have to have, it's like intuition. You have to have the coach.
Yep.
The coach or the teacher or the support person that can see an employee and get them exactly what they need.
Right.
A video or an AI distributor will not do that, right?
Yeah, right.
But so I think what I'm trying to say in that is that I like when you start to incorporate video in your training department, it really forces you to look at your whole picture and say, what are things can we absolutely that are like redundant talking head things that you do every single week? Let's turn that into a video.
Yeah, that's
Let's
a great idea.
free up the time of people who are really good at something to be in maybe those more coaching positions or using their intuition in a coaching environment or training environment, and let the videos kind of build the essentials.
Yeah.
I think that whole process, just overall improves your training environment.
Right.
Because you have to think about it differently.
Yeah.
You can't.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. You can't train the way you've always trained.
Right.
You have to train in a new way.
Now, do you find sometimes making those training videos, do you almost have to like train the people to be on those videos? Like,
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Not going to shy around that. Like, to just throw somebody in a studio and be like, shoot a video usually doesn't go very well. It's possible.
Yeah.
But I think if you as a company, for example, regardless of your size, if you commit to saying, we're going to do this video thing, regardless of how much gear you have or time or people, if you do it and you practice it and you prepare some scripts, for example, and you work through them as a group, and you get in there and you do some practice shoots and then you shoot it, that whole process only gets better.
Right.
The stuff we shot in year 1 is nothing compared to what we shot in year 2, and is nothing compared to what we shot in year 3.
Right. Yeah.
But you don't get there unless you build the base of trying it with year 1 and year 2.
Well, that's kind of like with this. I feel like episode 50 is going to be way
Yeah,
better than
like anything, right?
no offense, but it's going to be better than this
Yeah.
because on my end,
Sure.
you know, like I've got a lot going on right here. So
yeah, no, it's
but
gonna get better.
yeah.
But I think that's the thing is the only way you get better at being on camera is by being on camera.
Totally.
And so unless you've got like a true spokesperson or
Yeah.
somebody who's TikToking every
Right.
day, it does take a little bit of practice
Yeah.
and training, but that's all stuff you can do and practice and get better at and get yourself into a spot where your people are really used to being on camera.
right.
That makes the whole process so much faster.
And what I like about what you said there is that you're using your people.
Yeah.
You're not bringing in
Paid actors,
voiceover actor. You're not
Right.
bringing in somebody from the outside. You're using your people to communicate with your people on the inside.
Right.
And I love that. How would you, what would you recommend for somebody maybe who is just kind of like thinking about something like this? Like where,
Like
how would you
utilizing internal video?
yeah, like maybe just some like intro thoughts into, do you have to like all of a sudden just build a video studio within your organization? Or
yeah, I think
like?
I think you need to, you know, like content trumps everything, right?
Yeah.
Quality content trumps
Yeah.
everything. So you don't have the capacity to develop good content or good messaging, then none of what you do is going to be that effective.
Right.
But if you can learn to develop good content, good copy, then you have kind of two options. You could hire somebody, you know, who you could develop in a role.
Yep.
And I think some companies right now, they're like, who can we find on our team that has a camera?
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine.
Yep.
But I would
I
say
hear that a
give them
lot.
the tools
Yeah.
to actually go for that fully.
Right.
Because
Like
you can't, you can't really do it halfway. You have to go all the way. And so I think either hiring somebody, you don't have to be a 5-year videographer, but somebody who can maybe like learn the role, get to know your people well. The whole process and comfortability of having an internal person is really remarkable.
Right.
You know who it is, you know what to expect, employees know what to expect. The whole video process is much more comfortable. When you bring in an outside team, nobody knows each other, they're on the clock, you're on the clock because you're paying for services. There are some great video teams out there, but it still creates a stressful environment.
Right.
But there may be a cost effectiveness like benefit to either way. It's expensive to have an internal person. It's a salary, right?
Totally.
But it's also expensive to hire an agency or a videographer to come in and do it. It's more about how much video do you want to do and for how many years. If you're going to be doing video or you've got a fully remote company, I think having someone on call or on staff is hands down the best approach.
Right.
You're going to save more money over the long run than paying an agency every single time you need a video course. Not to diminish what agencies and videographers could do. But just from a company standpoint, you're going to have the longevity with someone.
Now you mentioned like the quality aspect a little bit. A lot of times, what I've seen with some of it is like, you know, maybe shot with like a GoPro or like an iPhone, which is great. You know, if you're just getting started and everything. Talk about maybe the quality. What are some things that maybe people should be looking out for as far as quality?
I mean,
goes?
I would encourage every company to consider using video in whatever capacity, right? But there is a threshold of quality that is going to translate to engagement and overall like learning environment, right? If you've got a boring video that's too long or poorly edited, no one is going to really want to hang on that call or that video, right? They're not engaged, they're not interested, they're not piqued to learn more. If you've got a professional set of products, or professional doesn't need to be like uptight and sterile, but professional, like professional grade products, then you're getting that much faster engagement. You're setting the tone for employees about the kind of services you're providing to them or support you're providing to them. But I think you could even go like things that I want some companies to know even is that like there's a way to do it can be expensive, but to imagine doing like if you're in manufacturing or something and you want to train somebody on a machine, instead of just doing this like kind of follow them around with a video camera thing, you can create almost like a 3D environment where they go up to the machine and they click this this point in the machine, and it pops up with a video on that specific part of the machine and what it does. And then they walk out and they go to another part of the machine in the 3D environment and they click on that part, and it gives them some safety protocols.
Right.
There's way more creative ways to teach what we're used to teaching if you're trying to replace someone doing it every time in person.
Yeah.
There are more creative ways.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a whiteboard every time.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I love that like 3D environment.
Yeah.
Training in that environment is interactive, which is huge, I think.
Yep.
And just more engaging.
Right. Yeah. Or think about like something we do at our company, like even our hierarchy.
Yeah.
You go to our hierarchy of our company, you can click on that person and it plays a video about their department.
Oh, cool.
You know, so it's just one more step of getting into the underlying who we are of a company or what we do or training on a specific thing in a way that actually translates to learning.
Right.
The other thing I would say about quality is by far audio quality. I don't know if it's more important, but in a way it is almost more important than your video quality.
Right.
If you have an iPhone video with spectacular audio quality with maybe a good boom mic or a mic like this or something,
you can tell a difference.
Yes, and it would be that much more enjoyable to listen to.
Right.
If you have a muffled, like bad microphone tucked under your shirt and it's kind of like scratches every time, like it is unbelievably distracting to the human brain.
Yeah.
And you don't think about those
people
things,
are more likely to turn that off.
Absolutely.
Like I know even on platforms, and let me just say this, I haven't seen anything come in yet. I hope your audio is coming through.
I hope so too.
Because we're
gonna have to do it again.
We're having an audio conversation right now. But just even on like YouTube and things like that, people are going to click off your video if the audio is bad.
Yep.
You could have a not so great visual image, but people will click off your video I was like, I have all these things going through my brain right now. So I'm like trying to sort them all out. But if the audio is bad, they're going to click off your video.
Yeah. 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 So like, it isn't all about having like a 5-star studio.
Right.
But if you have high quality audio
and
you've got some sort of way to capture video, there's nothing stopping you from creating a nice scene, a nice setting, just simple background. And taking that training environment from an in-person thing to maybe a digital thing. It's very possible.
Let's go back a little bit to kind of this discussion on let's say I am a solo business owner, which I personally am.
You are.
Do I need to create like training videos for myself? I mean, what does that look like? Sure. Like we talked about this a little bit, but I think I kind of want to go back into this conversation about some of that training. I mean, I think this is huge.
Personally, I don't know that I would go ahead and make videos for my company when I don't have other staff. Like I would make those videos when I have people. But I think one, it helps you solidify your brand message and your kind of company values. So even practicing on content like that would be really helpful. You could leverage some of that content for social media, like a little bit, think about like telling your story a little bit.
Right.
But I think the value to me lies more in the, like, how could you as a small business owner, instead of just thinking about creating content that's like social media marketing and like just straight up ad marketing, what if you created content about like who you are and what you do, or create like a small mini free course that you could give to people, and that would be a lead generator to bring back to your actual core product.
Something that brings value.
Yes. Yep, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think that's what this is all about. Like,
with the lab,
how can you provide, how can you provide value?
Yep.
And that's a great way to do it.
Yes. I know it seems like a lot of people are doing it, especially if you're in the creative space. You see a lot of YouTubers, whatever, they'll have either free courses or paid courses as a part of their kind of commerce environment.
Right.
But I think it's tremendous because we're all hungry to learn. Everybody I want that next step of learning, whether it's graphic design, music production, fitness industry, like food, whatever,
Yeah.
like there's always something to learn. And when you as a business can provide a little bit of what you've worked hard to learn
Yep.
yourself
Yeah.
to your clients or to potential clients or just to people in general, you're giving them like an immediate service.
Mhm.
And on the backside of that would be they now know you, right?
So
They
good.
know what you
Yeah.
give, they know what you provide,
Yeah.
and they could take that relationship further if they want to. And that's for nonprofits too,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
absolutely.
that's
I mean,
not
it's
just a business model. That's
totally.
video can be such a total gift. You
Yeah.
could write that off in your business to just be like, we're going to create a financial well-being course, right?
Yep.
And just give that to people
Yeah.
and say, we want to be generous with who we
Mhm.
are and the advice we give, and let them kind of roll on their own with this like financial course. You're
Yeah.
providing a very real value to anybody.
Right. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Speaking of value, I'm just going to bring this up while we're on the topic.
Sure.
Take a little breather here. If you are looking at, getting started, if you need help in this whole area of video, I do have a little free digital download that you can have. And it is called the Video Playbook. And I'm going to figure out all my buttons here and I'm going to pop it up on here. This is the Video Playbook right here. So this is a free resource for you if you are interested in, just kind of getting started with video or what that looks like as far as like a video marketing perspective. This is a free download for you. And, it's long, but there's a lot of great information in here. So I'm like scrolling really fast through this. That's so good. All right.
No, this isn't really a planted thing. Like,
No,
I think
like
what you just did was model what somebody could do, right?
Yeah.
Here's a
That's
free
exactly
resource. Here's a free resource, right?
Yeah.
That's not video resource, but
right.
it's a resource about video,
It is
right?
a resource about
You're
video,
giving them
yes.
something free of value,
Mhm.
and as a way to engage in conversation with
Right.
somebody.
Yep. And so in exchange for your email address, you can download this free video playbook, it's a digital guide to help you enhance your web presence with video. I will put a link to that in the comment section or the chat section, however that shows up on these different platforms. Because Luke, I'm still learning these different platforms. Like Facebook, I don't understand how the comment section or the chat section works. So I'm interested in kind of learning and kind of, gathering this information as we go. And LinkedIn, I don't have a clue how that live structure works. YouTube, I do have an idea, and I know it's right in the chat. So again, this is an interactive video. So if you have any questions about internal video, maybe how you can use internal video for your business or for your brand or whatever that might look like, make sure you jump into the comments, into the chat, wherever you're watching from, and ask those questions to Luke.
Yep.
And we can keep going with the conversation.
I would just jump in quick with I think if I'm somebody listening to this, I think the number one thing I'm still thinking about is the bottom line. Like, how do I justify what's probably going to be an expensive process of either hiring a videographer or bringing on a videographer on the team, maybe having a little studio space like this in your building, instructional design. I got to pay for an LMS, which is a learning management system, right? It's
it's a lot to think about.
That's not the only way to do it.
Right.
But that is one way to do it. And it is maybe an expensive thing to do. But I think I would say the same thing about internal video as external video.
Yeah.
There is incredible value in having external value to get your message out there, right? To get your brand positioned properly in your space.
Yeah.
There's no question that is a worthwhile venture because it's going to actually lead to revenue.
Yeah.
I would argue the same thing internally. If you could use video to strengthen your actual employees, maybe they stick around longer. Right.
Yep.
Maybe they onboard faster or better.
Right.
So there's less confusion during the onboarding process. They're more immersed in the culture. If you're a remote company, it's the only way to get people to feel connected beyond, right? Just getting some documents and email, right? It personalizes things. So if you're questioning the value, I don't think, just from my personal opinion, I don't think there's I just think there's tremendous upside
Right.
to using video in your company that will either now or in the future outweigh the initial maybe high cost of that.
Now, do you do anything like happy birthday videos or anything along those lines?
I don't. We have a marketing team that kind of creates those videos on their own, but they'll do like special events or holidays, or if we do a podcast, they'll release that internally.
Okay.
There's kind of other people that make those decisions about how things go out and when they go out from an internal messaging standpoint.
Because I love that I love the training aspect of it.
Yeah.
I love the especially that part of like you start to realize some of those inefficiencies in your training program as you kind of develop that training course. But I love that some of that would answer just like frequently asked questions that people might have like on the job. And if you are working remote or something, it's not like you can just walk over to the manager's office or whatever. And you might have like a Slack or something that you can communicate pretty easily with, but just being able to have that video, people can go that frequently asked question, go click on that and they have the answer.
Yeah. Almost like a secondary training resource. Like you got your lead trainer, you got your person that takes somebody with you on the field, but let's say somebody needs to revisit protocol or safety procedures or how to, something functions mechanically, or what do we do when this happens?
Could be a number of things.
You instead of having some zip drive, right? Which and again, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Because it's free.
Yep.
But imagine having a database of videos or a link system or something where people can go, boom, I go to that part of the website or that internal company framework, and boom, I've got this database of videos that I can watch and revisit things that I've forgotten, get better at things. I've even had conversations with companies who are thinking about how could I add modules to like have people almost learn, like almost like continued education within their own company. So they take the basic training, but now they've got these modules beyond there where they're like incentivized learning structures. So now I take this module and it kind of makes me maybe eligible for promotion down the road. You're automating the pipeline of advancement instead of solely relying on like, who's ready to go at the moment.
And that brings up the other thing, is just that company culture aspect of it as well. Like, yes, the training, but then the company culture, because I'm a big college football fan. And one of the things, like when a new coach comes into a program, a lot of times what they have to do is like actually recruit the players that are actually on the team. You know what I mean? So they're already on the team.
You mean? Yeah.
Recruit them if the coach wants them to stay. Recruit them to stay on the team. And so that's kind of like what you're doing with that like cultural aspect as well, is just kind of like you're marketing to those people that are already on your team and
saying here's why you stick around.
Yep. I think internal video just has so many benefits.
Yep.
And like we talked about, it doesn't take a lot to get started. It could, you could like really do it up. It doesn't take a lot, but it would take a few different steps to kind of get that rolling and kind of get that, that aspect of your business out there. So, any other types of videos that you think would be beneficial for internal style video?
And we talked about internal, external. We talked about podcast. We talked about coursework, internal or external, right? You could even, I don't know if we talked about that, but you could create a course that you actually sell. That's a fairly significant venture financially, but you could create, you could create something that you actually sell to people.
Especially if your business is like good at a certain type of thing.
Absolutely.
Like how do you train that to other people so that they become efficient in that particular aspect? Absolutely.
And I myself took some of those courses in learning how to be a videographer. How to light. I think I took one on like how to light a studio. There's no, there are people to help teach me, but like it's just different when you can kind of learn it from a professional or something like that.
Do you have any advice for me?
We'll talk about that later. No. But I would say maybe the other one would just be look at your company and think about anywhere where you could install some automation. And instead of turning that into like a chat bot, think about how could we create. Well, I'm kidding with that, but I really think like look at your company and say, how can we make it more efficient?
Right.
And maybe that's operations or finance or legal or HR or training or anything like that. What if you looked at those processes that you already do and you do it every week or every time you onboard? What if you could turn some of those, come into the studio and do it in 2 hours? Boom, you've got a video that replaces that whole conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Now you've just kind of streamlined and you've created, it's not to take people out of their jobs, but it makes them more available for the things that actually matter.
Right.
Or the things that don't happen every week the same way all the time.
All right.
So
that makes total sense.
I would say, kind of automation or reducing inefficiencies in your company through video, especially if you're remote, right?
Yeah. And which a lot of businesses are, especially pandemic time.
Yep.
Now, I did notice I was able to put that link in YouTube and Facebook, but it did not go to LinkedIn. So that video playbook link, I will, if you're watching on LinkedIn, I will make sure I get that into the comments after the video, but it's the digital download free resource for you if you are interested in learning more about marketing side of video, or I mean, even just this video playbook even has like simple things of like getting started with video with your smartphone, like super simple things. If you're interested, make sure you check out that link and go download that playbook. Well, Luke, one of the things I'm going to ask guests as they are, on the show kind of throughout the fall, I have the whole fall schedule out. If you want to go check that out, I got some great people, starting with you, talking about some great topics that I have seen a lot of questions about as I talk with people about video. Yeah. And so it's awesome to get these experts on here, but I want every guest to bring one thing. I don't know why I'm doing this.
It's a bowl.
Like one thing to take away from this particular episode.
Sure.
So if you are a guest in the future, I'm going to ask you for one thing to take away that somebody can take away, a viewer can take away from this particular episode.
Yep.
What's one thing that you would say about this topic?
Sure.
That you want viewers to take away?
Yeah. Nothing about this doesn't come with some cost and some work.
Yep.
But I think I would encourage people to see video as like the sixth man.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
On the team.
Yeah,
like
explain.
There's just, it's the summary of the whole episode.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everything we've listed, those are numerous ways to leverage video for more than just ads.
Okay.
And things that can actually serve as like, another trainer.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Like you have your training team, but you've got your video course underneath that to support it.
Yep.
So that your trainers can do what they're good at. You have, maybe it's internal messaging, right? I mean, there's only one way to get a message out from the CEO
right.
that feels personal, that feels real, that's maybe fun,
Yep.
that communicates culture and values, but you just take the time to make it on video instead of a letter or an email, right? It kind of becomes this key player or a tool, but a key player in especially facilitating a remote culture in a more engaging way.
Right.
Because that's what people are missing from before. When everybody's in the office, you maybe don't need it as much. But now that there's a lot more remote or hybrid companies, this is the sixth man to help you keep those like remote people tied internally. I just think there's so much you can do with it.
Yeah, right.
And seeing, if there's anything I want people to walk away with, is that there's just so much more possibility in video within your business than most people are aware of.
Interesting.
Yep.
Luke, that was great.
Yeah, it was fun.
So much information.
I love what we're doing, right?
Oh yeah.
I think not you. I love what you're doing in the sense that this is providing just a kind of casual conversation, but providing value to companies or people to say, hey, like maybe I haven't thought about that before. Or as you're learning, everybody else is learning, right?
Well, and that's what I hope this brings is like just opportunities to hear. Not everything on this show is going to be something that you should do necessarily,
right?
But maybe there's just little tips, tricks, or I don't know, trends in here that that may be beneficial to you or your business or your own video content, however that looks, whatever shape or form that takes. Maybe there's little tidbits in here that people can take away. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you being on here.
Absolutely.
As the first
thanks
guest.
for having me.
This is almost like an experimental episode because
you got to do one.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I could go back to the wide shot and there's a lot going on right here that cords all over the place, but yeah, this is fun.
Yeah.
So maybe you can jump on again in the future,
Sure,
maybe
that'd be great.
on the spring schedule.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, Luke, it's been great.
Yep.
Thanks so much. And for everyone that may be viewing this now or viewing this later on, I appreciate that. It's going to live on the different platforms that we were streaming to. So it's going to live on Facebook. Yep. It's going to live on YouTube. It's going to live on LinkedIn. And you can go back and reference these episodes whenever you want to. And my hope and my goal is to kind of split some of these into little sections as well. Yep. That can just be like short little bursts. So
cool.
I mean, there is only 24 hours in a day though. So we'll kind of see like how that plays out as far as production schedule of my own goes and everything like that. So, first episode,
we did it
down. All right.
Awesome. Thanks
hopefully in the future you can tune in and check things out on the Video Lab live show and we can get some interaction going. So, all right. Thanks, Luke, and see you everyone. We'll see you next week. Next week I actually have Thad Geed from Pin Studios.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and we're gonna be talking about video trends going into 2024. So make sure you check that episode out. Yeah, make sure you check that episode out. It'll be live on these exact same platforms, so you know where to find it. All right.
Sweet.
Thanks, Luke. Thanks, everyone.